In the previous round, I built these widened fender arches, and now while we are back here, let's sort out some taillights. It is a little French car, so it's just appropriate that the taillights be Frenched as well. William Pankratz commented, the fenders got Frenched out, so let's French in some taillights. If you don't know what that is all about, stick around. A big thank you and welcome to the new members who joined us. You guys will now be off receiving some additional members only perks and benefits. If anyone else wants to find out more about that, check out there below the video is a join button. Now don't be like my wife. Many years ago she used to think that if you hit the subscribe button, somebody will take your money. It's not going to happen if you press that button. It will just give you some additional information about the different membership levels and the perks being offered. If you want to take it further from that point, a couple more steps that you need to follow to become a member. So yeah, do check it out. Nothing to lose. If you're new here in the shop, welcome. My name is Div. This is Rat Rods for Africa, and I'm working on a project for my wife. We call it the Renobug. And it is a 1959 Renault 4CV body mounted onto a Beetle floor pan. There's already a bunch of videos on this project. Go check out the playlist Renobug if you would like to see some more. So I haven't got the original taillights. They used to mount right here, but they were not particularly pretty anyway. Let me show you a picture of what they looked like. Yeah, as you can see, nothing to write home about. So let's see if we can come up with something that is a little bit more sexy. Oh no, and now I see there's a strategic hole right here. Now you all know that I'm wearing white underpants. Well, actually they are long johns, because my legs are cold, man. It's winter out here at the moment. So I'm going through my collection of taillights, and so far there's nothing that excites me. Rectangular or square, that's definitely out on this little curvy car. It just won't fit, man. And these fellows, they are too big. I mean, this is like 5 inches across. Same here. No, that's way too big. It's not going to look right. And same with this fellow. I need to dig some more. Oh yes, I think these fellows can work for me. I got a red tail and brake light and an indicator or turn signal. And diameter wise around 2.5 inches. Yes, I think they will do the trick. Now I just know that someone's going to comment about some specific lights I can use. And yeah, I know out there in a wide world there's all these wonderful possibilities on Amazon and eBay and whatnot. But that's not really an option for me, eh? By the time import taxes and shipping here to the bottom end of Africa is added, it's just become way too expensive for me, and I'm not prepared to spend that kind of money on this little yellow car. So I'm gonna make do with what I've got. Yeah, so I don't know what these come from. Possibly Land Rover, I don't know. I don't care. What is nice though is, look at this. This is a piece of 3-inch pipe, and this light fits in there just perfectly. Nice tight fit as well. So that makes me think Frenching is a nice option. I cut this piece of pipe at a rough angle just to get an idea. So if we can sink that into the fender, so that this is flush with the fender, that could look quite cool. I mean, it will look way better than just sticking this onto the surface, flush mounted like that. No, that's boring. Okay, so I've cut myself some cardboard circles. I just want to stick them on here to kind of see where I would want my lights to sit. That's not sticking very well. Let's try again. Something like, I don't know. Yeah, now the decision is, do I put them parallel to this one there, or do I put them vertical? Decisions. I do reckon they need to be quite close to each other, so I'm kind of happy with that spacing. A change of perspective always helps. Those lights definitely parallel to the fender line, and in the top of the light kind of in line with the bottom end of the boot, or whatever you want to call it. And now I'm not running a bumper, so it's not like the bumper will go past the light. And yes, I still have to do something about these holes, but we'll worry about that later. Okay, so I've marked their positions, and to get an idea of the angle at which I must cut my piece of pipe, I'm actually using a bevel gauge and a baby spirit level, and I've already got it set up. You can see the bubble is on its marks. So yes, this is the angle that I need to cut my pipe at. So why am I doing this? Because then I will know that my light will sit vertical at the end of the show. So I see everybody out there in the first world are using those fancy Evolution cut-off machines. Well, they're not available out here, so I'm still stuck with the old school version, but it works. So I'll set up my angle, so let's cut. I have my 4 pieces, 2 for taillights and 2 for indicators. To my American friends, that's what we call turn signals here in South Africa. I think you UK boys say the same. I'm not quite sure about Australia and the boys down under. Let me know what you call them where you are. Turn signals, indicators, or what? Okay, so now my light can sit like that. Next thing for me would be to make a backing plate that we can weld on here for mounting the light. So I'm going to need 4 discs, not wooden ones, steel ones. And I'm going to use the Forest Engineering CNC plasma cutter. I suppose in this case CNC stands for cowboy, not computer. Hey, if you can laugh at yourself, you will always have something to laugh at. But yeah, having a plywood shape as a guide does work a whole lot better than trying to do it freehand. So if you do this, remember to make your shape smaller by half the diameter of your cutting nozzle. In my case it's 3 millimeters, 1/8 of an inch. If you don't do that, the steel shape you cut out will be larger than your plywood shape by that half a diameter all the way around. Okay, so I've made 4 of them. But now I still need this large hole in there. You can see I've marked it. And I don't have a hole saw of that exact size. So we will just use the same method, but the other way around. Let's hope it works. After the initial hiccup, we got it. Let's take this off to see what it looks like. It's hot, so I gotta be careful. Here we go. Right, next one. So I'm realizing now that I've been making a little mistake here. Because if you cut this in one go, you start off by dragging it, and then when I get here I start pushing it, and then yeah, when you push the torch it seems to get stuck a little bit. So I'm going to do this one in 2 steps. Drag to there and then drag to there, and I think we'll get much better results. Let's see. That's definitely the better way to do it. Right, so we've basically made 4 large custom washers. They're not perfect, but then after all they were made by a shaky old man and not an expensive computer. So now I ask you a question. If an old man all alone in a forest shakes a little bit, does it really matter? Now drill and tap so I can screw my light onto the backing plate. So the thickness of my material here is 3 millimeters, and I'm using a M4 tap. So the rule of thumb is that the depth of your thread should be at least the same as your bolt. So in theory I should be using 4 millimeter plate for my 4 millimeter tap, but this will be fine. We're just screwing on a lightweight plastic light, so I don't think there will be any problem with it. So next, let's just do a test fit to make sure everything is good. Gotta just line up my bolt hole. That looks good. And then screw it on. Yes, it fits. So my little old school screwdriver comes from the same time period as the cars I'm building. I don't know if you can see the writing here. It says Stanley number 45, made in the USA. Yeah, those were the days, eh? I mean, they still make proper tools back then. I mean, this screwdriver is probably older than me. Talk of old school screwdrivers now got me sidetracked. So I just want to show you some examples from my collection. The first thing you'll notice is they all have wooden handles. It's just so much more tactile and pleasurable to use. Now these ones are known as cabinet maker screwdrivers. They were made by Maples from Sheffield in England. And I tell you man, the design of this oval head handle is just the best. Once you've used one of these, they are so comfortable, you can't help but wonder why not all screwdrivers have handles like that. This old chappie is the exception, yeah, made by Fetco from Sheffield in England. How sweet is this little cutie pie? Here's my dirty finger for some scale. It was actually given to me by an old guy that lived in a town called Lusby, small little town in Maryland, USA, when I did some work there many moons ago. These two have a ratchet action, check here. And on this one you reverse the direction by just turning that. And now it works the other way. So he was made by a famous tool company from the States, Miller's Falls Company from Greenfield in Massachusetts. Made in the USA a long time ago. I think it actually says there that you need really good eyes. Let's see if we can read this. Miller's Falls Tools since, I think it says 1888. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me, but it's 18 something. A long time ago indeed. This one is also ratchet action. And you change him with this little button right there for opposite direction. And if you put the button in the middle, which is, there we go, then it's locked. And you can use it like a normal screwdriver. This one is an Eclipse made in England and is model number 950. So this style is known as a Yankee screwdriver, and in a way it's a mechanical version of a battery screwdriver almost. Because you just push and then your tip rotates. You reverse the direction by turning this barrel right here. Now it will go the other way. And you can also lock it, turning that one. Now it can just be like a ratchet type screwdriver. And then also the bits are replaceable. You can pull this out and stick in whatever bit you want. Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore, do they? It's even got some brass pieces in it. This brings back memories, eh? I turned in thousands of screws with this Yankee back in the day when I was working on wooden boats. Yeah, that was many moons ago. Oh, and by the way, none of these screwdrivers are museum pieces. They are all working tools, and I still use them in my shop whenever required. Possibly a bit faint, but maybe you can read it. This particular Yankee is a Craftsman, right there, made in the USA. I'm sure some of you OGs will remember that brand. And one is never enough. You guys know how it is with tools. This little chap here is actually an original Yankee. Another one to make my American brothers proud. My camera doesn't want to focus that close, but it reads Yankee number 135, and then below it is written, let me now see, my eyes are not that good anymore. North Bros Manufacturing Company, Villa, PA, USA. How cool is that? And this one for my English brothers, Spiralux, model 7130, made in England. I even modified some more modern bits to fit this one, like this square drive bit I have in here. Tools that were made to last a lifetime, eh? Several lifetimes for that matter. Unlike this modern Chinesium crap that you get these days. Hey, enough rambling from my side. Let's get back to working on the Renobug. But before I weld on that backing plate, I first want to cut these holes and check out the fit and see how things are going to work out. So I'm just going to start by taking off the paint first, and then we can cut the holes. So to cut my hole to the right shape, I'm going to stick it on like this. I've got some reference marks here, so I'm going to mark this now. Because this hole is definitely not round, it's like an oval shape. Let's get the bottom done as well. Right, so that's the shape of the hole I have to cut, and then obviously afterwards it will go in like that. And then the lower one will go right there. So let's mark him as well. I reckon they can be pretty close to each other. So I think that's good. And down here. Okay, so this needs to be removed. And this. So yes, I can cut this with the plasma torch, but I got a new toy, so let's give it a try. I've already drilled a hole here. Let's see how this works. Yeah, it cuts well enough, but it's a struggle to get through the radiuses. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I think I'm just going to do the rest of them with the plasma torch. I guess maybe I just need some more time with my new machine to get to know it. I did try pushing it straight against the foot there, if I can call it a foot, I suppose, but the blade gets wider up there or something, I don't know, then it's even more of a struggle to get through this tight radius. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to spend more time on this machine. But in the meantime, let's see if we can make this to fit. I'm just going to clean it out a little bit with the die grinder. So let's see how it's going to fit. Oh yes man, it's going in nicely. Just gonna have to line it up somehow and find a way maybe to hold it in place. Because to hold it from behind, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit hard because I need to get my arm in from the back. But yeah, something like that. I think that's going to look quite nice. Let me come up with a plan to hold it. Right, here's my plan, Stan. I tacked on these bits of offcut. So now it can't fall through. That's going to make my life a lot easier. Yes. But now this business is escalating. Those screws are not lined up. They're sitting in randomly. And I can be a sucker for details. Luckily I haven't welded on that backplate yet, so I can still rotate the light. So I want to get those screws to sit horizontal. And I can't get my hand in there at the moment. I'm going to have to jack the car up to do that. Well, let me mess with that a little bit. What a freaking mission, eh? Jack the car up. Rotated that light from below until I kind of think that it's now sitting horizontal in a way. I've got a little reference mark here. So I'm now going to take this thing out carefully, go and weld up that back plate, and then because of this reference mark I can come and stick it back in the same way, and then we should be good. Okay, so the first one is tacked into place. I've got that back plate fully welded. Now it's time for the next one. And I've also decided that I'm going to use my new air saw after all. I need to learn its quirks. But one thing I've already picked up now is if I want to do tight radiuses with it, the best thing is to drill a couple of holes. Then you can saw from hole to hole. So let's do that. Okay, so I went through the exact same motions with the bottom one, got that one tacked into place. Now I can weld it up. See, if you were here for the rounds where I built the fender flares, you might remember how I struggled to weld this thin material, 0.7 millimeters. And the wire in my MIG machine is 0.8 millimeters, way too thick to weld such thin stuff. And I didn't have any TIG gas at the time, which I got now. So I tried to TIG here in the back, and it's much better. But this thin stuff, I'm telling you, it's still a struggle. It just warps for nothing. But we're doing our best. So I got these two done now. It's time to tackle the other side. Now, of course, we want this side to be the same as the other side. So I've taken some measurements and created some reference marks so we can get it as close as possible. Not going to cut out this bottom hole yet, otherwise this PC in between is going to be getting too floppy, man. So we first weld in the top one, and once that is welded, then we'll cut the bottom hole. Okie dokie, so with that's done, now this freaking hole has been a thorn in the eye long enough, so let's do something about it. I got my little patch plate in place, and I'm just going to quickly weld this up and grind it while you go get a beer or a coffee or something. I'm sure you've seen this 100 times, so I'm not going to bore you with it. And it's done. This side too, and we can safely say that it's not going to win any metal shaping competitions. But perfectly good enough for a little yellow car that's going to be abused on some farm dirt roads in Africa. This business here is actually trickier than one would think, and that's because the shape here is a reverse compound curve. It curves like this and it curves like this at the same time. So yeah, that makes it interesting. But we kind of managed in a forest engineering kind of way. So what's going to close up this little hole as well. And then I remembered something from the days when we played with Beetles, which is decades ago, can you believe it? And that, of course, is a T-bar, man. What do you think? Yeah, so on the Beetles, these were always straight. But I thought, let's shape this to the same curve as our little yellow car. I mean, who doesn't like a sweet, sexy curve, man?
We interrupt this broadcast with an urgent announcement. We switch over to our reporter who is live on the scene.
I received urgent code red orders from upper command to build this fire screen right here. Yeah, she went and bought herself a fancy new Persian carpet, and now it's a matter of life and death that this screen be installed in front of the fireplace so that sparks from the fire can't land on her carpet. Now, I do not want to go hungry or sleep cold, so I'm better go and install this quickly, and I'll show you as well how my contraption works. So here's the thing fitted to the front of the fireplace that I built for the boss lady. And I actually put it on hinges. So you can just open it like that, load your fire again, flip it down, and it should keep the sparks out, because the carpet right here, that's what mommy's worried about. So let's see that let's hope that it works well. So in case you are interested in the materials I used, this is a piece of 10 by 40 flat bar, 3/8 by 1.5 inch, and this is a piece of 20 mm, about 3/4 inch pipe, because I didn't have round bar of that size. Now I don't have a pipe bender, so sucker for punishment that I am, a bunch of little cuts, about 3/4 of the way through, so I could bend it to my required shape, followed by a fair amount of welding and grinding. See, I tested it here against the back of the Renobug, so I could get the same curve, and yeah, now it will sit here somewhere. For the end pieces, I rounded over the end of this piece of round stock I found in my scrap bin, then cut it off to get that little piece that I can now weld on there. I did this in my lathe, but you could easily do it with a drill press and a grinder as well. Just chuck this in your in your drill press, and then use your grinder to shape it. Okie dokie, so I got my two curvy T-bars in place. Let me screw in the lights so we can see what that looks like. Yes, I think that's pretty cool. Now remember, all the silver bits will be painted yellow as well, so you gotta keep that in mind for your final assessment. And then I think the T-bars, I'll probably paint them black to go with the rims. I don't know, we'll see. Or maybe silver? I don't know, what do you think? It's cooling down here now, so I'm wearing my new old jacket. My wife buys these things for cheap from some second-hand clothing store, because she knows I've got no respect for clothes and I destroy whatever I wear. And yeah, with this 70s style, what do you call this thing, a collar, I am now a true fashion icon. And this is probably a dead man's jacket. Anyway, I'm going to head down to the house. I'm sure my wife is back already, and she started the fire. I'm going to go find out if she likes her new fire screen. So I want to say to you guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I enjoyed your company. I'll see you in the next video when we carry on with the Renobug build. Until then, have a lucky one, my brothers.
Whatever makes you happy, it just depends on you. So think a little bigger and dream what you could do.